Bienvenue à tous, merci de votre participation. Pour écouter notre session en français, veuillez cliquer en bas de votre écran sur l'onglet Interprétation et sélectionner le drapeau français. Merci.
On behalf of ICLEI Africa, the African Centre for Cities, Our Future Cities, Surge Africa, and the Red Cross Crescent Climate Centre, we are delighted to welcome you to the Rise Africa 2024 Action Festival. Rise Africa is a platform that brings together thinkers, doers, and enablers to inspire action for sustainable cities. This is our 4th edition of our Rise Africa Action Festival, which brings together insights, practices, and visions from across the continent under this year's theme of Solutions Only, Failures Also. This year's theme provokes us to change the way we view our cities and approach their development, particularly to promote a solutions orientation to our worldview. The festival invites you to embrace different ways of knowing, to seek ways to bridge science, policy, business, and arts in creative ways. It invites you to forge new partnerships, experiment with new concepts and ideas, and drive change in your homes and communities. This year's festival, we are running a social media storm to share how urbanization is happening in Africa, that cities can be centers of possibility, and how we can inspire action for sustainable African cities. Please share these for the days of the festival, including Africa Day, the 25th of May. As is tradition, we invite you to enter this session in a spirit of creativity.
يطيب العيش هنا في إفريقية بالهدوء والسلام والرفاهية، وفي قارة الخيرات السبع الكل ينام متعبا من الشبع، لا فقر لا عنف ولا جوع، لا ظلم لا قهر ولا دموع. نحتفي بالتنوع والتعددية، نزرع بذور التسامح ونقطع جذور العنصرية. يطيب العيش هنا في إفريقية حيث العدل والمساواة والسلمية وقوانين وسياسات وأنظمة ديمقراطية ومشاريع تحفيزية والحب والسعادة والحرية. ننعم بثرواتنا الطبيعية ونعالج المشاكل المناخية. كم يطيب العيش هنا في إفريقية. سمعت صوتا يقول هذه الحكاية، لا أدري إن كانت هذه النهاية لحلم راودني أثناء النوم، أو ربما هو صوت من غد أفضل، وهذه البداية لحلم يتحقق مع أحفاد اليوم. ولا أدري ما الذي يجب أن نفعله نحن الآن ليطيب العيش في إفريقية، وكي لا نعود إلى زمن الخوف والاستبدادية، ونتخلص من مهرجي الشعبوية ومطبلي النظام والدكتاتورية.
Greetings, everyone. Over to you, Dasha and Larissa, to officially start the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Dasha, and together with my colleague Larissa, we are going to host today's session. We are not that many, so we would like to ask you to switch on your cameras, as this will be a highly interactive session. If you feel comfortable, if you don't, that's also completely fine, but please do interact and engage. And in case that you are joining on your phone, if you can, while we are introducing the session, transfer slowly to a computer if that's a possibility for you, because we will be working on a Miro board, and it is much easier to use it on a computer than on a phone. Okay.
Donc, on peut commencer. Je vous partage mon écran.
So, as I said, my name is Dasha, and
Comme je
I'm
vous l'ai dit, je m'appelle Dasha. Donc, je suis
from Serbia, from East Europe. And my specialty is in co-design, but co-designing in a very broad term. And lately, in the last couple of months, I have been researching on how do we co-design with nature. So how do we include nature in our design processes more directly? I also work a lot on water sensitive design and water infrastructures, and consider nature as something very broad. We can define nature in many different ways. I will let my colleague Larissa also introduce herself.
Thank you, Dasha, and hello, everyone. My name is Larissa Heinisch. I just want to start also thanking ICLEI for this invite. We're very excited to be here today. And ICLEI is a close partner in our work. I have worked in ICLEI a few years back, so I do feel home today being here in this session. So I'm a senior climate change consultant based in London in the same team as Dasha. The focus of my work is on nature-based solutions aimed at climate resilience and disaster risk reduction, especially in development context and in vulnerable geographies. So I'm working this intersection and really focus also on cities and understanding the challenge the cities face regarding climate change and how nature-based solutions can help addressing this challenge and also promoting a range of other benefits. So let's start.
Yes, maybe just shortly, we also want to introduce Sara Cantiraci, who has developed this piece of work together with Larissa and myself. And Sara is also working in Arup. She's in the Milan office. And we also invite you to kind of Google her work, because she has really worked extensively on both play and nature-based solutions, transport as well, so inclusive cities generally. Sorry, Larissa, back to you.
No, great, thank you, Dasha. So we'll start with a short presentation before moving to the more interactive part, talking about Arup, the company we work at. So Arup is a multidisciplinary firm, and we are focused on sustainable development and shaping a better world. And we do that across a range of different types of expertises. So we count with engineers, designers, urban planners, but also ecologists, economists. So really this multidisciplinary of Arup shapes the way we approach our projects. We're almost 80,000 people across 33 countries and 88 offices. Our key projects that you might be more familiar with are some that you can see in the picture, like the Sydney Opera House, also the Bosco Verticale in Milano, this structure in King's Cross Station. But we also, because we work in every single aspect of the built environment, we work from design planning, but also producing research and strategy and plans, as you can see on the right, as the work we've done with the Rockefeller Foundation on the Climate Resilience Index. And why are we here today? So we compile a brief kind of agenda with the key topics we want to cover. So with this section, our key objective is to explore together with you this important link between play and nature, and the nature-based solutions in cities for more playful environments. We also want to focus on the diversity of playful experience across African cities and how these diverse in terms of geomorphological aspects in each city can shape different playful experience. And then speculate together also how our cities can support nature-based play in urban environments. And then we'll start talking why nature-based play is important. Here also we're including image to explain a bit why we mean by nature-based play and creating playful experience. So we really want to explore and talk with you today about how we acknowledge how the green, blue infrastructure we have in cities and how these changes and ecosystems can really create playful experience, not only for children, but for everyone. And here is just an image to enable you to start thinking about these possibilities. So this is a floatable, playful public space that was planned in Copenhagen, and you can see with the difference, like in the rainfall and flooding, this environment completely changed and allows for different interactions with the space and playful experience. Next, Dasha, please. And here we're just bringing also a few examples that of nature-based solutions work that Arup has been doing, and is related directly with climate change in cities. So on the top left, you can see a work we have done with the Green Climate Fund in Jamaica about prioritizing nature-based solutions as a solution for climate resilience, and also the work we've been developing with the government of Peru in a reconstruction effort after consequences of the El Nino phenomenon in Peru, with a reconstruction around 17 river basins. But we're also bringing these examples because, especially for built environment practitioners, sometimes still when we're thinking about bringing nature, we're thinking more of these engineering large projects and like direct functions for nature related to floods and climate, but there is a range of other benefits that nature-based solutions can bring, and especially at the city scale, that we want to talk more about it today. And
Yes,
Dasha
so from one side we
mention a
have nature-based solutions that probably you have already explored in many different ways, and then from the other side we have play. And in Arup we have explored play through our. You can have a look at our recent publication, which is here at the bottom. It is open source and available online. So Playful Cities Design Guide: Play for Anyone, Anywhere. And here, how we actually approach play is through. So looking at play as something that helps us develop different skills. And these skills can be developed, we are developing them no matter what age we are. So play is not just for children. That's kind of the first thing we're going to be talking about today. These skills can be physical, and I will be here explaining a little bit through different examples that include nature-based play. So these skills that we develop are physical skills, which can be holding something, jumping over something, climbing something, getting a sense of space. So for example, that can be a maze that is made of different plants, for example. Then social skills. Kira, I think the slides will be kind of available as part of the recording of the session as well. So you will have them later in that form. Social skills like sharing, telling, listening, meeting, playing together. And here you can see two grandmas gardening together. Emotional skills that we are developing through play are full sense of fulfillment, surprise, when we empathize with something, when we are excited about something. And here you can see a bunch of kids getting super excited about a big rainfall. Cognitive skills, when we learn about something, when we are deciding, remembering, or understanding how something works. And then here you can see a child that is exploring how a little stream of water works. And then finally, creative skills. So drawing something, writing, imagining something, and communicating that with people. And here you can see these lovely ladies who are using natural elements to weave baskets of different kinds. So all these types of skills can be developed through very different types of play. So what we did through our work, Sarah, Larissa, and myself, so we combined these two kind of streams of knowledge, so about nature-based solutions and about play, and we said, okay, how can we combine nature positive outcomes that we can achieve by combining these two big streams of knowledge? And we define nature-based play as a form of play that takes place in a natural environment and or involves interaction with natural elements and features, with water, with streams, with mud, with rocks, with hills, with forests, with natural loose parts such as seeds or leaves, sticks, etc. So it is not just playing outdoors, but it is also playing with natural elements. And yes, I don't know, Larissa, if you want to add something here, but the main kind of concept is in the integration of of the societal answers to societal challenges and ecosystem-based approaches that we kind of achieve together the social and environmental benefits.
And I think, yeah, maybe just adding here that this link between nature and play is a good entry point to address all these societal challenges. And it's really important that children, since an early age, have contact with these benefits and nature in cities, so that we can really have a new generations of these champions for nature that acknowledge these benefits and protect nature in urban spaces. But Dasha will talk more about it in the next slides.
Yes, this publication is also available online, so you can also download it. Just Google nature-based play Arup. Actually, maybe Larissa, in the meantime, maybe in the chat, you can put the links to these things. And here we explored the case studies from different parts of the world. And through these case studies, we then kind of explained and explored what are these benefits. And here I will just show you quickly a case study from Ghana. Amazing Mofra Foundation is doing great things there for quite a few years. So they kind of started in 2012. And they are really kind of they have developed this open space for learning about nature in many different ways. There is a lot of gardening, planting. There is this exploration with new materials, such as these coconut husks. So really great case to have a look at. And then we can see different types of activities that they're doing to achieve these nature and climate positives on the one hand, and then children community or play positives, if you want to call them like that, on another hand. And throughout this publication and kind of comparing all these case studies, we then had a look, and then we said, okay, what are these amazing people doing to achieve this nature-based play and these kind of positive things for nature and for societal well-being? And then we found out that there are these 8 key drivers that kind of contribute to this. So the first one is transforming perceptions. So raising awareness about the importance of these topics, using natural materials, for example, reusing site materials. The second one is connecting with play heritage. And this is something we want to talk about with you today. So how do you connect with your memories of playing in nature? So we will be talking about that in a bit. The third one is enabling proximity and access. So making it easy for people to access nature, to play in nature. Because if we need to travel far to get out of our cities and get into nature, it's very difficult for us to do that on an everyday basis. The fourth one is strengthening partnerships. It's not something that we can do but by just doing one thing. We need to kind of look across different scales and see how can we strengthen partnerships across these scales. The fifth one is diversifying play through nature. So looking at how can we have not just one type of play? As I said, there are 5 different skills we're developing, and all of them are equally important. So we'll talk about that in a bit. Celebrating change is the 7th driver. Celebrating change both in nature, the natural cycles, the different rain season and dry seasons, different other seasons that we see around the world, but then also different phases of growth of something, etc. Experimenting publicly, so publicly innovating in space, and growing facilitation, so helping people to connect with nature in different ways, which is also, this session is one part of that, I would say. Lari, do you have something to add here, or shall we move on to the interactive bit?
I think we can move to the interactive bit because we have a lot of
things
to cover.
But this is where we stop talking. Perfect.
I did share the report link, and yeah, if you have any questions, also feel free to drop it in the chat.
Yes, so I'm copying the link to the Miro board. You don't need to, if you have not used it before, you don't need to kind of log in or anything. This link should work for everyone. Again, I would invite you, if you feel comfortable, to switch on your cameras because we will be talking quite a bit here together. If you don't feel comfortable, that's also fine. I will be sharing my screen at all times for people who cannot access Miro or cannot be on Miro. or don't want to, you can use the chat. So write your answers in the chat, and then Larissa will help transfer them onto the Miro board. I can see only 4 people joined so far. Please hop on and let me know if you have any issues, because we want to have you all here so we can have this kind of discussion together. If you have not used Miro before, don't worry. I'm going to introduce first how this works, and we are going to do a few exercises where we will be using just 2 very simple techniques here. Can I see likes on how many people from here have used Miro before? If you can give me a like or a heart, just so I can see how comfortable you are with this platform. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, the others have not, I suppose. No problem at all. We are going to introduce it very slowly so you have time to kind of to get to know it. Okay, 8 people are here. How many are we on the call? Okay, I guess we can start. So Miro is essentially a virtual wall. So if you scroll down on your mouse, you're going to get away from the wall and you will be able to see more things on the board. And as you can see here, as I'm zooming out, we have prepared quite a few things for you. We are first going to introduce the Miro board and do a quick introductory exercise to see who is on the call with us. Then we are going to talk a lot about the ways you play in nature. The third activity will be about thinking how can we redesign our cities to enable more nature-based play. And the final exercise will be all of us together writing a small manifesto for nature-based play in our cities. So we have 4 different sections, and we will be jumping from one to another quite fast. So please do be kind of switched on. If you scroll up on your mouse, sorry, you will come close to the wall so you can see more details of something. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. That's another thing that is very useful. And if you get lost on this board at any point, you can click on my head that you can see on this Miro board in this blue circle, top right corner, you see Dasha. So just click, if you click on this at any point, you will see the portion of the screen that I'm seeing if you get lost on the board. Okay. Does anyone have any difficulties to access this? Okay, maybe not at the moment. If you do, please type in the chat or just ask us. We're not that many on the call, so we will help you to get into this space. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to use, that we will be then using throughout the workshop, is typing into things. Please type your name, choose one of these yellow post-its and type your name in it. You do that by double-clicking in any of the post-its and then just typing your name. So double-click in any space, whether it's a post-it or a rectangle, it allows you to write inside. Yes. So write your name. And then that will be the first thing that we will be using. And the second one will be moving things around. And you do that by, so now take your name and drag it to where you are from. So you click on it, you drag it, and you release to show where you are based. Here, because we are very focused on African cities, we just put Africa. So if you do not live in Africa, then maybe put a post-it with your name to a place that you know very well, that you're very familiar with, that you traveled to, or that you really like, something like that. So click on something, move it and release, and that helps you move things around. So today we will be just typing and moving things around. Actually, we will also be copy-pasting things. So that works the same as in PowerPoint or Word or anywhere else. So Control-C to copy something and Control-V to paste something. Okay, most of the people are joining us from South Africa, but it seems from different cities. Then we have Kevin from Kenya. And I should say that's it. So not extremely diverse, but Larissa likes Morocco. Okay. So this was the introductory part to Miro. If you have any issues, again, please don't hesitate to ask us. And we are now continuing with the first activity. So we have did done this in both English on the left and French on the right. So you can choose whichever part you prefer. I will be explaining on the English part, but it doesn't really matter. So the first thing I'm going to ask you is to choose one of the pink boards and occupy it. So occupy one of the pink boards by writing your name in the top left corner. So that will be your board in which you will be working today. Choose any. Type your name in the top left corner, and that will be your board. And then try to go back into your memory. It can be a recent memory, or it can be your far, far, far away memory from when you were a tiny, tiny baby. And think about your favorite 3 games in nature or plays in nature. So it can be a game that has a structure. For example, we had recently in a workshop hide and seek that has a structure, right? Someone is hiding, counting, and then seeking for people who are hiding. Or it can be something that does not have a structure. For example, playing in a mud and making figures, right? Making sculptures. So it can be different things. So think about 3 of these games. In the top little purple rectangle, double click and write the name of that play. And then in this bigger rectangle, type a short description of that game. And you can use these questions to help you to write that description. And then from this big table with material, you can see, just look at for now at this left side of the table, you will see all sorts of different images. So drag those images, 1 or 2 or few or a part of an image, to kind of illustrate that game of yours. You can also Google images and just copy paste them where you're working. So that could also work. I will play some music to let you do this for a few minutes, and then we're going to come back and see what you've done. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. So for people who have just joined, if you want to participate with us in this session, we are on this Miro board. I copy the link again. Just click on the link, see where everyone is, and choose a pink board in which you should describe your 3 favorite games in nature. Hello, as I can see, there are new people coming. Again, I'll copy again a link to Miro if you can't see the previous messages. And we are working on a Miro board, so click on the link and come to this space. Choose a pink board in which you should describe your favorite play in nature. 3, 1 or 2, 3. So for the others, maybe 1, 2 more minutes, and then we're gonna see what you wrote. There are some amazing games here already. And so many that I don't even know how to play. Super nice. Okay, I'll pause these beautiful sounds for a moment, just to kind of give you an additional task. So keep describing your games and play, but now have a look at the white plate on the table with material. Let me bring you to me. So have a look at this plate, and here we have some categories of natural elements. So we have biodiversity, water, air, land, and oceans. So have a look at your game and try to identify what is the main or what are a few key natural elements that are present in your game, and then just take, drag as we practiced before, click and drag it to your image. So for example, I'll show you here. I took biodiversity and I put it here where we play with where someone said Rory said playing in outdoor places. So biodiversity, I guess, is important. So for example, we'll put it somewhere over this photo. So try to identify what are the key natural elements in each one of your 3 games. So Megan, I hope I pronounce your name right, but correct me if I'm wrong. I see you put hopscotch, for example. So maybe I would say that one includes land as well, because you would need this chalk, right, to draw it. And as you describe here, yeah, you had it available, but maybe that's one of the natural elements that you are using. You had chalk available because your parents were teachers, but maybe I remember when we were playing outside, we would just use any rock that can actually leave trace, right? So it doesn't have to be bought chalk. Mhm. Okay, and then you can continue with the potatoes again on the table of materials. I'll bring you to me and do the same, but this time exploring. Let me just bring this to the front so it doesn't go behind your pictures. This time we are thinking about what kinds of skills can we develop through the games that you mentioned here. So again, just take them and drag them over your collage. So think a little bit about what kind of skills are you developing. Is your game very social? I saw, for example, that Charlotte was also describing a very individual kind of personal game. So what kind of skills were you then developing through that ballerina game? Yeah, let's do that as well, and then we'll move on. I'll play some music. Okay, how are we going with descriptions? Do you need more time, or can we move on with the next task? Okay, I'll tell you the next task and then at least do it for one game, okay? So now if you look at the last part of this table with material, I'll bring you to me so you can have a look. So here we listed some of the most common nature positive benefits, so that these nature-based play elements can kind of introduce to urban areas. So here we have temperature and microclimate regulation, increased resilience to flooding, urban soil regeneration, natural habitats and biodiversity safeguarding, solid waste management, improved air quality, sustainable urban drainage systems, agroecological practices for food security and safety, diversified water supply, so for example, storing water for gardening, improved water quality, rainwater harvesting, and then here on the side are also some secondary ones such as reusing site material, hands-on learning about science and green technologies, experimenting with nature-based materials, circular development promotion, demonstrating good practice, engaging with diverse natural elements, de-sealing, which is a problem here that we face very often, that everything is covered in asphalt and concrete, so we need to de-seal, we need to take it off so we can introduce a permeable soil.
Donc,
Context-adapted best practice examples. So
les contextes dans
I'd like to invite you
l'adaptation des bonnes pratiques.
think a little bit about if
Donc,
you
pensez un peu à
implement your games, your nature-based play in cities, what kinds of benefits could it lead to? Of course, not only that one game, but if you would imagine a scaled-up approach. So what kind of benefits would be possible with your game? So again, just to drag this to your board. So let's spend maybe another 5 minutes and then we're going to hear some examples.
I think maybe it's worth mentioning as well that might not have any obvious benefit. So then I suggest you also like imagine like if perhaps you changed something about that game, what benefits it could have as well.
Yeah, that's a very good point. For that, you can also use these green post-its that you can see all around the pink boards. So add anything that we forgot or anything that you want to introduce more to the game. If you also know how to use Miro more proficiently, feel free to sketch or to add other elements like stickers and icons and other images. So yeah, there is no limit. So let's spend another 3 minutes. Okay, maybe we pause for a little bit this creation. So to hear from a few people, I put these this fish next to the 4 of them. So let's hear about all of them. I just chose them because I think they're very different than anything I have heard so far, and they're different to each other. So maybe let's start with Megan. Megan, would you like to describe to us your game with trees? I will bring everyone to me, and yeah, please unmute your mic and tell us about it. Sure, no problem. Your mic issues. Yes, maybe Kevin, can you use your mic? Okay.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
So with that game, it's mostly a game of marbles. And so the marble game works where you collect one marble from the ground because you've dug a hole and preferably a drier ground. And then you pick one marble, throw it in the air, and then pick one quickly from the ground, and you want to have the marbles in your hand. And so if you test agility and how fast you're able to have that cognitive skill.
So do you end up then at the end holding a whole hand of marbles while catching the one from the air?
No, so you hold one at a time and then put them aside, and then eventually you have no marbles on the ground.
Amazing. And then what kind of benefits did you see coming out of this game? If this would be, here we have another name for the game, Diketo.
Should I explain that one?
If you can tell us a little bit, if we imagine Bano being played in our cities, what kind of nature positives would this game bring to us? Here you put temperature and microclimate regulation. Can you describe a little bit about these benefits that you outlined here?
Sure. So I mostly thought if we maybe scale up the game and maybe have it in scenarios where you have better ground surface, so it's something that's not so dry, then you can enable urban self-generation, and then you also can have interaction with different kinds of natural elements. So maybe mud, soil, different types of soil, different types of ground finishes. And then it would be great because it happens in a place that's quite dry. If over the long period of time, then you plant more trees, so you have more canopy, more shade, which makes it a more comfortable place to play.
Yes. And do you see, Kevin, do you see today children playing this game a lot where you live?
Not anymore, particularly because most of the complexes now have been paved with asphalt or with bricks. So it's quite hard to dig, and people don't want their gardens to be dug up. So it's over time, as I think people get richer, the surface is not the same.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, I completely agree with you. I don't know, Larry, if you have something to add, but definitely would help de-sealing, connecting with soil, understanding children, or I guess teenagers would play this as well. They would understand what the soil is made of, whether you can dig a hole in that soil or not. That kind of experience that we gain by exploring soil in that way.
I had just a question to Kevin. This marble little balls, did you use any other material as well to play with it, or what kind of material they are made of? Did you use like any natural elements as well, like seeds or something like that instead?
That's a good question. I think because there was a presence of these small shops or kiosks, as we call them, and so you'd get a marble maybe for 1 shilling or 50 cents. So they're kind of easily accessible. So we didn't use a lot of the natural materials like seeds and all. But now I think, because of the economic differences, then you don't have a presence of smaller shops. And so it's a bit more difficult, I would say, to access some of those materials.
Interesting. Yeah, very interesting.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. I mean, the others were super interesting as well, but because we can't hear all of them, let's continue with the next one. But maybe we can pack all these boards afterwards for the participants and send them to you so you can read what the others wrote. Alana, can you use your mic?
Yes, I can.
Hi, hello.
Hello. Good to see you again.
Good to see you again. Yes, can you tell us a little bit about the perfume game?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I should put it or not, but I just remembered when I was a child, so it's not like a fixed game, but I know that I would meet up with other children who lived in my neighborhood, and then we would walk through our parents' garden and then collect different flowers, and then we had this idea that we would throw them all in one pot of water and make like I think we would leave them there for a little bit, and then we would like make a perfume out of it, and then like fill it in small bottles, and then collect it in the streets to neighbors who were really friendly in taking them on. Yeah. So not sure. Like it's not a fixed game that we would play, but just experimenting with the flowers, with the senses, and yeah.
Yeah, it sounds great, and I actually chose it because it's also something very familiar to me. Like we would make perfumes, tomato juices, lots of the red things that you can find, etc. Megan said also, okay, how about the others? Did you also make perfumes and stuff like that?
I love this one. I didn't used to make,
Potions.
and I wish I did.
Yes, but this one is also, it is creative, it is social. You didn't put here the natural element, but definitely biodiversity. So we learn about properties of plants, and what different plants can do, and how long they need to release their color or their smell, and things like that. Some of the nature positive nature benefits that you added are experimenting with nature-based materials, engaging with diverse natural elements, yes, but also I would say improving air quality, because just having all those plants available around you in your immediate surroundings would really improve air qualities in cities on a big scale, of course, scaled up, or safeguarding biodiversity. So having not just one green lawn, right, but having all sorts of bushes, leaves, colors would be a great addition to cities. So many benefits from this one, even though it sounds kind of naive, but it's not at all. Charlotte, shall we go to you next? To the mud play.
If I can just make one final comment as well of Alana's example, because I was in another discussion these days, and then someone raised the issue that sometimes nowadays kids are a bit scared to get dirty in nature, like, and I think this kind of play really shows, like, you go there, you collect the flowers, you make something out of it. So it's really, really nice to show, and like also that you can grow up and not being scared of like experimenting and like get dirty in a way. So just a comment on that.
Definitely. Okay, Charlotte, over to you.
Yeah, well, mine certainly you got dirty, and I'm kind of showing my age now because I don't know if it's still played anymore, but it was called Claylat, which is kind of a mixture of English and Afrikaans, I think. But you would go to a water source, a river or a stream, and then normally the mud there is very sticky, or it's sort of like a clay-based, it's like a clay. And you would find yourself a stick, and it had to have a sort of a nice whip to it. So I think it was probably willow, because willow trees would normally be around that water source. And you would form a ball with the clay, and then you would stick the end of the thinnest part of the stick onto it. So it's quite a balancing act between not making the ball so big that it would break the stick. And then if you were really mean, you waited for it to dry before you then whipped it over your shoulder, and then it would like create a missile basically, which it could hurt quite a bit, particularly if you were sort of against another group of kids. But Otherwise, you just would use it while it was still quite wet, and yeah, we would all come home covered in mud and bits of mud that you'd been splattered with, but also all over your hands from making the clay lot. And if you were really industrious and you had a real war going on, you would make lots and lots of balls. So you had almost like your ammunition, and it sort of depended on how many people were there and how organized you were.
I'm just trying to find an image that would illustrate this. Would this one work, maybe?
That's good.
Good. Yeah, it sounds amazing. I mean, this one definitely is social because you do it with other children. It's physical, using fine motor skills, developing fine motor skills, but also with throwing, right? It's also physical in kind of creating this strength, developing strength.
Yeah, and I think there was also sort of cognition in there, because it was this whole thing of weight ratio versus what sort of velocity you could get going. But yeah, I'm
Definitely.
afraid me going around a mirror board is a bit, I think I've moved things that I'm not supposed to move and all sorts of things.
No, you did everything well. I mean, I don't see anything moved. So yeah, cognitive, social, physical, definitely. And then we have air, water, I would say land as well, right? It's like soil. I mean, we these categories are a bit general, but yeah, air, water, land. Yes, a lot of different elements. How about the others? Do you see this game being played where you live now? Because Charlotte started by saying that maybe she's not sure whether this is still played. Did anyone else see this game anywhere across Africa? No. Okay. Maybe not many people live nearby rivers, because you have to live on the riverbank to be able to do this. Okay. And then for the kind of nature positive benefits, we have experimenting with nature-based materials, urban soil regeneration. I would say also water quality, because allowing children to play on riverbanks, this type of game, we need to have clean rivers, and we can't have sewage that is pouring into our rivers. So I would say this would definitely improve water quality of waterways, fresh water. Yeah, amazing. It would be great if we would be able to see this in our rivers happening everywhere. Okay, and then the fourth one was Megan, that can't switch on their mic, but I'm just gonna read it because come across this game about trees, and I just read it now as you were writing, and I just can't believe it. So every time when we mention trees, people describe, because Larissa and I did many of these workshops, and people tell us about climbing trees, and climbing trees is super exciting. It's a risky game that both children and adults love. But here Megan wrote about pretending to be a tree. And they would grow from a seed to a big tree. This would involve me lying on the ground in the fetus position, like I was the seed, and then growing ever so slowly, and then blooming, and at the end jumping up and down. How beautiful is this? I read it and I couldn't believe it. So thank you so much for sharing, Megan. It's amazing to actually mimic that change that happens, that metamorphosis. And I'm just thinking, I would even motivate my friends, to not just imitate trees, but we could imitate all sorts of tadpoles and frogs and all sorts of other animals, and learn about their life cycle by imitating their life cycle. So much kind of education here. 10 years old. Okay, great. So young people can definitely play it. You need to understand, I think, the life cycle. So you can't be super young to play this. Yes, physical, cognitive, emotional, creative, social. Maybe, yeah. What if you recreate a life cycle of an animal that is forming a colony, like a beetle, for example? So then you have to play with other beetles to join your forces. Amazing. I mean, this really just triggers my imagination in all sorts of ways. There are other super nice games. Is there anyone else maybe who is really burning with a desire to tell us about their game? Not at this point. Okay, sure. So let's now move forward, but take one of these games. It can be your game or one of the games that you have heard about. So take it with you to the next exercise. So we are now moving to this space here. I'm gonna bring you all to me. So in one African city, imagine now, this is really important, that we imagine that we are in one African city, so the context that you know very well. And we have some segments of this city here kind of tied together. Maybe some sidewalk here, some busy crossroad with some buses and cars and parking spaces and bus stops, or some kiosks. This can be however you interpret it to be. And maybe some buildings that have smaller passages, wider passages. Then we move on, and here we have some offices and maybe some interior spaces, some glass facades, some walls, right? But we still have some maybe space in front of this. We have a lot of crossings. And then we here have some kind of a train station or bus station, or maybe it's some kind of a transport hub, whatever however this looks like in the place where you live. So the question is, if you think now about that nature-based play that you just described, or that someone else describes, how would you bring it into this space? What would we need to change in this environment so your game becomes possible? So for example, if we think of Kevin's game that requires digging the ground, where would we install those soil areas in these spaces to dig those holes? And how do we need to kind of change the design of these spaces to be able to enable those games to play those games? Again, you can use these post-its that are on the side. You can use so here on the left you will see you have this pen kind of function that can help you draw stuff. You can also use different types of stickers. I will add some trees now here to help you, some trees and some other elements that you can add. So I'll play some sounds and maybe just 2-3 minutes to think a little bit about your game and how would you bring it into any of these spaces. You can just choose one or a few. Someone said this is tough. Why is it tough? Just think of anything that comes to your mind. So think about those elements that you have put. So we kind of thought about water, about air, about oceans. So think about what your game requires and how would you bring it here. If you want to describe why it's tough, maybe unmute yourself so we can talk about it. Yes, Maliga, I'm gonna copy your comment on the board so we can have it there.
Also, while we do this exercise, feel free to share with us, either opening your microphone or writing the chat, like what in your particular city, why is being difficult to have nature or implementing nature, or if you're already noticing some either biodiversity, water, those elements that we played before, right? Ocean, land, air. Like, how are you already noticing these things in the city that they could be brought more actively? So feel free to comment while you do this exercise as well, because we know it's difficult in urban areas. The nature is still being very pushed out, right? And don't have the space for it. So let's talk about it.
Okay, maybe let's allow for 1-2 more minutes and then we will move on. Maliga, I'm copying from the chat.
I already did that.
Ah, okay, sorry.
Some nice ideas and comments coming.
Very nice.
Okay, sweet pea.
Okay, so maybe let's have a look together a little bit. A lot of comments. Would someone like to show their thoughts around? Or do you want me to start summarizing? Okay, I can comment. So yes, let's start with the train station. So here we had some green roofs and canopies, indoor plants, internal green walls. These spaces can be super hot in the summer, so introducing water features, urban farming, a lot of trees, open spaces where people can sit and play stones while waiting for the train. Yes, so there's a lot of kind of waiting activities here. This one was also that one. kind of something that can make people interact while they're waiting for a train. And here again, I thought of a game that Charlotte, I think, wrote up there. I'm gonna take you there to show you because we didn't read that one, but I thought it's very interesting. So it was about these flowers, right, Charlotte, where you would make some ballerinas out of flowers. So maybe we don't need to interact with material that is produced, right, with those strings, but maybe it's a type of flower that we plant next to the train station where then parents and children and anyone can make something with these flowers. It would kind of have a similar effect. So it is about using natural materials to trigger this type of game play. A lot of access to soil. So here we had some areas that we do not pave, that we do not cover with asphalt and hard surfacing, but where we introduce these kinds of environments. Again, this picture was used here, so super interesting. Less cars, more planting and diverse planting of flowers, of different elements, enabling water to flow in the city. Imagine this would be so good. And games on the green, nature-based playgrounds. Exactly. So our imagination runs really wild in these natural environments. Yes. Small pocket parks and areas with these natural elements. Yes. Would anyone else like to add any comment, or why was this tough? I'm really curious about someone who said this is tough. Why is it tough? Let's talk a little bit about it. Everyone is quiet in this group today. Larissa, why do you think this is tough? Let's then play between us when no one wants to play with us.
Well, I'll share some ideas and please react or disagree. But I do think, especially when we talk about cities, there is a matter of like lack of space for nature, right? So we're talking about a diversity of cities here, but generally very dense, already very gray with a lot of concrete, very busy. People mention cars, motorcycles, not even space for pedestrians. So it does feel like space is quite restricted for nature. But at the same time, I see a comment, city officials think cars are more important and high buildings. Yes, so there is something associated also to that that we see in different contexts and even in the publication of the nature-based play, the example that Dasha presented before, it was one of the challenges they had to address the lack of space in the city of Accra, and actually they did that intervention inside the site of a foundation, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm from Latin America. I'm from Brazil originally, and we also face this fight between like let's remove cars from the streets, let's make more spaces for people and nature. And Maliga also mentioned most cities are designed for commerce rather than human center or address the environmental crisis. Absolutely. But I think what we're trying to promote with this work and workshops like this is that especially long term, bringing these type of solutions to cities are going to reduce costs associated to climate disasters, climate hazards and events, also improve health, right, to reduce air pollution and all that. And it is a process of trying to advocate for this, and we know it's not always easy and well accepted yet by decision makers and leaders. But
I will also mention something that I've heard recently in a workshop, which was if we don't have concrete, if we don't have asphalt everywhere, we are not developed enough. So that this is also perceived as good development, whereas it does not have to be. And it is actually just a perception that we have of how a developed city looks like. But yeah, also yes. So lack of space, we said business, but businesses can also benefit very much from these types of environments. And there was one more that I wanted to say. Yes, another thing that I hear very often is maintenance. It's expensive to maintain.
Yeah, I think it's not only the cost. I think a lot of people are still scared of like the risks or don't know exactly how to maintain this type of solutions that are based on nature. So sometimes, the templates built with gray or concrete and allowing for this wildness, being like rewild in some spaces still makes a few people uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yes, and the decision makers, maybe they're not always present, but they are present, and we kind of interact with them more and more, which is, I think, good. This is why, the only way to do this is to talk about this work more and with more diverse groups of people. So maybe that also leads us to the next step and the final stage of this workshop, which is we wanted to kind of write with you a small short version of a manifesto. So to bring more nature-based play in our cities, what do we need to do? And to kind of wrap up this session with this statement, based on these memories that you shared with us, these amazing games. And if you think about Megan growing as a tree in the middle of the city, and what things they would need to be able to do that in the city center of Cape Town, what do we need to do? What do we need to do to make this happen? So again, just double click on this and type something that comes to your mind. I'm gonna be silent for a little while so you can think. So many ideas. This is amazing. Okay, so let me first zoom out a little bit and take you all here with me. So we started by just talking a little bit about what is play and how can we define play through different experiences, through the development of different skills: cognitive, creative, social, physical, and emotional. Then we spoke about nature-based solutions and what kind of benefits nature-based solutions bring to our cities. And then we zoomed into different types of play that you play or you see that you have played or play still in the places where you live in different African cities. And then we tried to think about, okay, why is this type of play not happening anymore around us? Because many of the things you mentioned actually came from the past. And you said, for example, that you don't see children playing on the riverbanks, like what Charlotte described, or Kevin and his holes in the soil to play with the marbles. We also don't see that anymore. So what can we do to kind of make that happen and to make it possible here? And why is it hard? Why is it difficult? So we discussed that a little bit here. And now it's really great to see all these different kind of actions, I would say, what we need to do to make this happen. The truth is that it is absolutely 100% on us. So if, yes, maybe decision makers that can action this tomorrow are not in this room, but that does not mean that we cannot do something to bring this to their agenda, that we cannot bring this to around the table where they sit. So I would like to invite all of you, and I will also give room to Larissa to say what she thinks as well, but I think we are together on this because this is what Larissa and I do every day, is now as I read these actions to think actively about which of these actions you can take today, tomorrow, to where you work and where you are. So be open-minded, be open to experimentation. Plan with nature and not against it. So motivate people around you to plan with nature, not retroactively, how someone said before, but proactively. Collaborate across sectors. Bring people that sit across different tables to come together to talk about this. Ensure that decision makers understand and support the value, speak about the value that nature-based play can bring to urban areas. Do as seeing is believing. So when you see a good example, show it to people, take them there, like what we did with the example from Ghana, from Mofra Foundation, just a bit before. Motivate citizens to explore and perceive the city with their playful side. Usually what this takes is just for you to be playful. Are you playful in the city? When did you climb the tree the last time? I actually did it on the weekend. So it's not silly. Don't think it's silly. We need to do these things. So yeah, maybe I can also trigger you or challenge you to do what Megan was talking about, to grow like a tree after this session as a little of as a small, physical exercise. There was a lot on intergenerational play, so 100%. So play should definitely be intergenerational. So there's a lot about understanding how the space can be appropriate for people of different abilities of different age, especially young and old. Have an intergenerational approach to urban environment. Engage different groups of people to have an intersectional perspective of different types of play for different people in cities, 100%. I would also add here people of different ethnicity, people of different cultural heritage. Cultural heritage is so important for nature-based play, so don't forget that.
Also, I don't know if there was a point on that, but also considering different types of abilities and different restrictions that people might have physically or cognitively. And if I can comment on one, Dasha, without wanting to interrupt.
Go.
But I saw many comments around schools and educational centers. So I just want to highlight how these spaces are super important in cities as well, and be able to think, like how schools are important nodes in cities to have nature space, not only for the kids that are attending the school, but their communities, and how that can expand to the surroundings and have a wider effect in the city. We talk a bit of that in our publication, and as mothers, fathers, caregivers for children, like we can start like, you know, bringing those ideas and demanding as well that the local schools maybe can bring more nature-based as well. Yeah, just wanted to comment on that point.
No, that's great. That's great, and I think there is so much still to explore on this. We are going to share with the organizers a little kind of print of these boards, so for you to read everything. But yeah, so much here that is super valuable. I would also like to open the floor to anyone else who would like to comment anything, whether it's, I don't know, Bongiwe, if you also have to say something, or anyone else, any other participant.
I can say something. I think thanks to both of you, this has been a very interesting session. And I think especially for us very technical people who are now having to unlearn the formality and the very structured and technical space that we're so used to working in, and just being able to acknowledge the fact that if we realistically want to mainstream nature across different sectors and advocate for it with different audiences, we really need to be able to be creative, to just experiment, right? And I think it's just very interesting. It's been a very interesting thing because it is a bit tough because you're trying to figure out how do we think about something that talks to a wide range of audience. And I think play is such a common thing. And despite the fact that a lot of people are coming from different countries, we have similar games. Even the Stones one, we called it something completely different, but it's still the same game, right? And just thinking about it now and just how much we in our formal and like technical environments lose the essence of playing and being playful, and how impactful and how powerful play is in trying to get the message across to a wide range of stakeholders. So very interesting, very interesting. So I'm very keen
Thank you for sharing. Yes.
to go through more of your resources and figure out how can we integrate those elements of play and being playful in how we deliver and unpack our own messaging around nature and nature-based solutions.
Yes, indeed. And I would just add one more thing here, which came through some of the other workshops that Larissa and I did. I don't know if any of our participants here have children, but in some of the previous workshops, what came through is we don't really have a lot of places in our cities where we can take our children to play the games we played, these games that we shared here. So how many of you have, if you have children, how many of you have places where you can take your children to play the Bono game or any of those other games? And that's really sad, and that's really something that is 100% our responsibility. So again, a call for action because we really need it. Okay, so a lot of nice comments in the chat. Thank you so much for those. Yes, okay, just kind of going through a lot of memories. Very good. So we will share with you these. We can also share on LinkedIn. Maybe that's the easiest. So you don't have to share your email addresses with us. We are gonna share this manifesto, and as a reminder of this session. So thank you so much for joining. Please stay in touch. You can kind of connect with both of us on LinkedIn and have a look at the publications that Larissa has shared with you before. And if you have any ideas of how we can make this happen together, do reach out, because we are really keen to kind of work a lot on this. We are already working a lot on this, but we can't do it alone. So we want to do it with all of you.
Yeah, also I would like to say thank you. I hope you had fun. I certainly did. And I loved learning about your games in your cities and countries. And yeah, just as Dasha said, feel free to contact us if you have any questions, any feedback, any other ideas to keep promoting nature-based play.
Thank you, and see you soon.
See you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye bye.
everyone.
Bye,
Thanks,
Lana.
everyone.
Nice
I
to see
think
you
this
again.
too Just to direct you to the chat, we've just added a link now. So please fill in that post-session survey to let us know how you felt about the session and how we can improve. We've had really great feedback already, so please do. The link is in the chat. I've also popped in throughout the session a few other links. If you want to check out more sessions throughout the next 2 days of the Rise Festival, please do so. We also have the Africa Day celebrations where we'll be having a social media storm. So please join that as well and interact from wherever you are. So thank you very much, everyone. And to you, Larissa and Dasha, for facilitating and hosting such an amazing session.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. And let us know about the feedback so we can learn as well.
Great. Definitely will. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.